My, what a week it has been. And there is one thing that I have become convinced of, which is that they are trying to kill us. And I am not being hyperbolic. Friends, buckle up. It is Thursday, and it's time for the Danielle Moodie Show. Let's get into it. So, yeah, I'm convinced, dear friends. Welcome, damnation. I am convinced that this new regime, the Maga Musk train, is hell bent on killing us all because the actions that were taken this week will lead to more sickness, more deaths, and all of it can be avoided. But the point is not to avoid it, because why else would you have appointed a Secretary of Health and Human Services, a conspiracy theorist, and anti-vaxxer to lead the health of 330 million Americans? Which leads me here. Do you all remember this 2013 movie? Matt Damon, Jodie Foster. The film is Elisium, and it came out in 2013. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's not a great fucking movie, but it's one that I reference often when I talk about the future of America, the future that honestly we're living in right now. This is not something that you can say, oh, well, this is in our distant future. I'll be dead then. No, we're living Elysium now. So let me walk you through this 2013 movie. Here is it. Here's how it goes. The year is 2154. And there are two classes of people. There are the super rich and privileged, and then there is everyone else. The rich and the privileged live on a space station called Elysium. Everyone else lives on the crowded and ruined planet Earth. Elysium has no poverty, no crime, no drugs. It is the picture of perfection. But in order to be there, you have to have a certain code. Oh, don't mind it. A certain code that allows you the ability to be there. So Matt Damon, lead character, falls ill, right? Because everyone on Earth has some form of fucking cancer or disease. The place is in shambles and crumbles. It is filled with pollution and devastation, and people are overworked. And, you're just basically trying to hang on. And if you win this lottery, sometimes you can be sent up to this space station, Elysium, where people, the wealthy, have these machines that they lay in. Think of it like going in to get an MRI, where you lay down and they scan your whole body, and then they remove all of the disease and viruses so that you can live perfectly and healthy. And then Matt Damon falls sick because of radiation at his job. His job gives him a couple of pills and basically tells him, you'll be dead in 4 or 5 days. It doesn't really matter. And so he gets involved with this revolutionary group who build this contraption. And then he heads to Elysium and basically starts a revolution to try and get the super wealthy and privileged who now live in this out of sight, out of mind society to understand the devastation that is happening down on Earth, and that their technology that they're hoarding for themselves could actually help the masses. Like I said, folks, the movie, not that great. But if you watch it now with today's eyes, it's supposed to be set in 2154, but it sure as fuck could be set in 2025. Because what this Musk Trump regime is setting up is two classes of people: the super wealthy and everybody else. And not only that, but they are making decisions now that are going to cost people their lives, not in some distant, far off future, but really fucking soon. So, what do I mean by that? Well, take a look at a couple of things that we're going to run through today that happened this week. FDA, Food and Drug Administration, cancels meeting to select flu strains for next season's shots. The canceled meeting comes just days after a CDC vaccine advisory committee meeting was abruptly postponed. A Food and Drug Administration vaccine advisory committee scheduled for March, right? So next month, to select the strains to be included in next season's flu shots has been canceled, a panel member said. So here's the thing. I don't know about you, right? But I get the flu shot. It is my choice, right? Because supposedly I live in America and have bodily autonomy, kinda. Depends on what state you live in and if you have a uterus. Nonetheless, here we are where our kook of a HHS secretary has decided that all vaccines are bad. All research, all science, all information is bad. And what I realize is going to happen, friends, is that there is going to be this thing which already exists. It's called medical tourism. But with medical tourism currently, it is about people going around the world to find the cheapest places to get plastic surgery, to get, boob jobs and, implants and, nose jobs, all the things, right? You can go to Mexico, you can go to Thailand. There are certain destinations around the world that have become havens for medical tourism where it is cheap, right? And it's set up for you to be able to recover. Here's my thought. With the denying of vaccines to people, medical tourism is going to be a thing. But it isn't just going to be about those that want cosmetic surgery. It's going to be people who have money currently that are able to go to different countries and destinations where they're able to access the vaccines that America no longer has. Now, I say that, folks, but the fact is that we could very well end up in a dynamic where America is no longer welcome in certain countries because we don't have access to different vaccines, where we are denied entry because our panels are not up to date. This is the future that is here now. So the cancellation of this FDA flu shot meeting comes as the United States is in the midst of a particularly severe flu season. I don't know about you, but I know several people that have contracted the flu that knocked them on their ass for 2 weeks. These were healthy people. If you are already immunocompromised, The flu is something that can be deadly. So far, 86 children and folks, 19,000 adults have died this season, according to data from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. So, what happens when those of us who would like to get the latest flu shot for the latest strains that are going around are now no longer able to do that? Because that is the situation that we have now. We can say, oh, well, I guess, those Trump folks, they won't get it either. They weren't getting fucking vaccines. Nonetheless, those wealthy cabinet members and all of those, they'll be popping on their private jets and plopping on planes to go secretly get those shots. Or, like many people did who were wealthy before the COVID vaccines were wildly available, there were those that have concierge doctors that had access for the uber wealthy, access to the COVID vaccines earlier than the public. And we will see that happen as well. So the elite don't have to worry and don't even have to bat an eyelash at what RFK Jr. is going to do to cause the deaths of Americans, because they're not included, because they already live in Elysium. They don't have to be concerned with what the rest of us have to be concerned with. Then we have this. RFK Jr. issues bombshell order on COVID vaccine over safety concerns. Wait, what? RFK Kennedy Jr. has paused a $200 million Biden-era contract to develop a new COVID vaccine due to safety concerns. Mind you, let's just ask ourselves, is this motherfucker a doctor? Does he have any credentials whatsoever in the health field at all? But because, he believes that vaccines cause autism and turn people transgender, we're no longer going to have access to them. So the newly appointed health chief issued a 90-day pause last Friday on a HHS contract with Vaxart Inc., which is working on a new COVID vaccine pill. About 10,000 patients were set to start the clinical trials on Monday. But now, nope, that's not happening either. And the experimental vaccine was a part of the Biden administration's $5 billion next-gen plan, which launched in 2023 to develop and streamline new vaccines for a range of diseases. But guess who is now being thrust back into the 19th century, where we're no longer going to operate as if we have access to modern medicine or information or, anything. We're just going to go off of whatever comes out of QAnon and whatever our new quack of a fucking HHS secretary believes and says. It is absolutely nuts. And it would be funny and laughable if things like this weren't happening. A Texas child who was not vaccinated has died of measles, a first for the U.S. in a decade. Folks, let that headline sit with you for a moment. A Texas child who was not vaccinated has died of measles, a first for the U.S. in a decade. Well, let's learn a little more, shall we? A child who wasn't vaccinated in a measles outbreak in rural West Texas, state officials said Wednesday, the first U.S. death for the highly contagious but preventable, okay, respiratory disease since 2015. The school-aged child had been hospitalized and died Tuesday night amid the widespread outbreak, Texas' largest in 30 years. Since it began last month, a rash of 124 cases has erupted across 9 counties. Folks, so what do you think our HHS secretary said then about this first death that doctors are telling us to be concerned about? It is concerning, is what they have said. It should raise alarm bells, is what they have said. What does RFK Jr. do? Well, in federal response, RFK Jr. appears to misstate several facts. Y'all, the word misstate is doing a lot of work here. When you could just use, oh, I don't know, one word instead of misstate several facts and just says, in federal response, RFK Jr. lies. Period. The nation's top health official and a vaccine critic said Wednesday that the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services is watching cases and dismissed the Texas outbreak as, quote, not unusual. What was the headline that I just showed? We haven't had a death from measles in this country in a decade. And it was stated that it was all but eradicated in 2000. Okay? Piece goes on to say, he appeared to misstate a number of facts. It takes everything in me every day. Why use 5 words when one word would do? He didn't appear to misstate a number of facts. There are facts he chose not to offer them and brought his own, which is then lying, including a claim that he offered that most who had been hospitalized were there for, quote, quarantine.
Bobby, do you want to speak on that?
We are following the measles epidemic every day. I think there's 124 people who have contracted measles at this point in Gaines County, Texas. Mainly, we're told in the Mennonite community. There are 2 people who have died, but we're watching it, and there are about 20 people hospitalized, mainly for quarantine. We're watching it. We put out a post on it yesterday, and we're going to continue to follow it. Incidentally, there have been 4 measles outbreaks this year. In this country last year, there were 16. So it's not unusual. We have measles outbreaks every year.
You sound a little...
Not unusual. We have measles outbreaks every year. Now, I watch the news all the time. I read the papers. Have you seen other news about measles outbreaks in the last year? No, you haven't. Anything that would raise alarm, like the word Measles and outbreak being in a headline at all? Nope, 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 nope. That's not the case. And so if you noticed his casual demeanor as well, folks, where he was just like, happens all the time, not a big deal. Meanwhile, it has spread from Texas, right? From West Texas into New Mexico. And because of these, what's the word I want to say? Motherfuckers, because of them and their anti-vax bullshit over COVID, the vaccine numbers for school-age children has fallen. So more children are going to die on top of more adults because they believe what the RFK Juniors and the Donald Trumps of the world spew when they tell them, oh, they're stealing your DNA. Oh, they're manipulating X, Y, and Z. And now, folks, let me not get it twisted that America has absolutely done medical testing and some fucked up shit on Black people, on Indigenous people. So I'm not dismissing those facts of our history because it is true. But we also know that vaccines in the modern era have saved people's lives, and that there are countries around the world who do not have the resources and access to vaccines that die from things that we've been able to eradicate because of advancements in science and medicine. But RFK Jr. is hell bent on taking us back to the 19th century. So more people, friends, are going to die. And that's what I don't understand. So not only can we expect that we're not getting new updated flu shots, 19,000 people died this year. So what happens when flu season comes around again in the winter, in the fall and winter? What happens, friends, if what happened in 2020 and 2021, where we had a super convergence of both the flu and COVID? Now, the fact is, we won't even actually know because the CDC is now no longer allowed to share information with the public. They're not even allowed to share information with the NIH or with the WHO, which we've withdrawn from. So how are we to get our information? And I believe that I may have stated this before, that the American Medical Association has a YouTube page, and they've been posting information there because the CDC isn't allowed to. Do you understand that this type of McCarthy witch hunt, anti-science, anti-truth, anti-fact bullshit is now going to cost people their lives? I also, before I go into today's call to action, I want to say my thoughts on this. You know how these red states have introduced legislation to criminalize women who seek abortions? Like right now in Louisiana, there is a case in which the mother of a young girl, I don't even know if she's young, so let me not say that the mother of a woman who sought out an abortion and received the pills in the mail from out of state, the New York State doctor that provided those pills has been charged. And Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, has said, we're not extraditing her to fucking Louisiana. Like, she didn't break any law, according to us. So go on. But the mother who helped the daughter access those pills may be headed to jail. Because it's not enough. It's not just states' rights. It's that you no longer have a right to travel or to receive medication through the mail. Where am I going with this? How the fuck do they justify that a parent who does not vaccinate their child and that child dies, how is that not a criminal act? How is that not gross negligence? How is that not child endangerment? I'm not a lawyer, but I am asking questions because I think that it is really important for us to see and understand the double standards here. That a woman or a person with uterus that seeks out bodily autonomy and to seek out an abortion is a murderer. But a parent who has a school-age child who dies from a preventable fucking disease because you chose not to vaccinate that child, how are you not held as a criminal? Now, folks, I get it. I know that people have religious exemption. I appreciate you saying that. But I feel like these are questions that we just need to not shrug off and say to ourselves like, well, you know, it just is what it is. It is fucked up. Because we love to believe that we don't live in a Christian fundamentalist society. We actually do. Because the exemptions that are made for those with fundamental Christian beliefs are always exempt. But if I believe, right, that I should have bodily autonomy and be able to do what I choose, somehow I'm not okay to do that because I'm being dictated to by a group of religious zealots. So then tell me why those that are scientists and researchers and lawyers couldn't have the same argument with religious communities that essentially kill their own children. It is, you know, it's so fucked up. Like there's honestly like, I lose my temper and I lose the ability to articulate without cursing in this moment because none of this had to happen. None of it did. And I'll keep saying it because my God, these people that are now being profiled in places like the New York Times, like, I thought voting for Donald Trump was going to save my life. There's a piece right now. I haven't read it yet, but there's a piece right now. Young, blonde, white woman. I thought voting for Donald Trump was going to change my life. And now she's fucking jobless because she was a federal worker in rural Oregon. And guess who's shutting down the parks and firing park rangers and the like? So he did change your life. You're jobless now. And for the other folks, oh, he did change your life. He made measles great again. He made bird flu wonderful again. Oops, Elon Musk fired a bunch of people working on Ebola, but oops, I fixed it. No, the fuck you didn't. Because the doctors and scientists and advocates that were working on it still don't have jobs and no one knows where they are. So it is, folks, I say this because I wish that we were in a better place. I wish that Americans would have heeded the warning that so many of us said the next time around wasn't just going to be us holding on and being able to get through. That the consequences of a second Trump regime was going to not only create a constitutional crisis that would catapult us into fascism, but that people were going to die. And not just from war, but from the war that they have waged on all of us with our health and their ability to tell the rest of us, wish you luck. So before I get out of here today, it is Thursday, which is our damn call to action. And I want to use this time as an opportunity to remind folks about what is happening tomorrow. Why consumers are planning an economic blackout on February 28th. U.S. consumers are being encouraged to abstain from purchasing any essential goods on February 28th, tomorrow, as part of a 24-hour buying blackout that aims to showcase the economic power of everyday people. The call is for people to not buy anything. And if you have to, right, if it is essential, like medicine at the pharmacy, etc., to use cash. The goal is to show the collective power of the people. And seeing as these people only care about dollars and greed and wealth, we collectively have got to show them what that wealth looks like when the people are united and not divided. And so I encourage folks to engage, if you are able, in this economic buyout. People have an economic boycott. People have already, for weeks now, been boycotting Amazon and Walmart and Target. We're actually saying, make it bigger. Do away, right, with these big box stores. Go to, if you need to buy anything tomorrow, do so at small businesses. And if necessary, use cash. But this is happening tomorrow. I encourage you to spread the word with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Send out, this video. Go on Instagram, put in economic boycott. If you're still on Instagram, put it on Blue Sky, and you will see some social media things that you can share with folks. It is important, friends, that we exercise our collective power, that we recognize that us fighting amongst ourselves over the scraps ain't it. And it has been a strategy of the 1% to keep us fighting over the crumbs that they leave over while they eat high on the hog. We do not have to live this way. Our future is not yet determined. We still have power and can still take action. And so that is my call to action today. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for the donations that you have offered. I am so excited that we hit 15,000 subscribers yesterday. Thank you all so very much for sharing, posting, liking, commenting. And if you are new here and have yet to hit that subscribe button, smash it right now. Share this show when it is gone. I want us to get to from 15 to 20, 25,000 and just keep growing and building this community because we need it. And we can continue, right? Spreading the message of hope, taking collective action together, and knowing that there are more of us than there are of them. And also, dear friends, I am on Substack now. And if you love that community as well, I am putting out content over there, writing and what have you. So you can check me out at daniellemoodie.substack.com and subscribe to the Damn Digest. And there is where I'm able to collect your email addresses because, again, we don't own these platforms. And so, God forbid, there is a blackout or a shutdown or X, Y, and Z of said platform. If you also subscribe over there as well as here, I actually get your email addresses and we can continue to stay in community regardless of what happens to these platforms. Y'all, I appreciate every single one of you. Remember, tomorrow, Democracy-ish is live at 12 p.m. Eastern. So please do come and join Wajahat and I at Democracy-ish, 12 p.m. Eastern. As always, dear friends, power to the people and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane. And in these extraordinarily dangerous times, dear friends, do stay safe. The Danielle Moodie Show will be back Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern. Until then, be well.